top right corner, usually there's a gallery view.
Yep. Normally I don't have to do that, but today it's much easier when I can see everybody.
Top right corner.
I got it. Yep. Now I can see everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Nice February day. Appreciate everyone's time. Let's go ahead and call our meeting to order. You should have received the agenda on the 4th. And I'll entertain a motion to, first I should ask, is there any additions to the agenda, John, other than what was presented?
I got nothing. Nope, we're good.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve our agenda?
So moved to Andy.
Thank
Second,
you, Andy.
Justin.
Thank you, Justin. Is there any discussion about the
Sorry.
agenda?
I'm gonna just ask Kate, I don't know that we're recording.
I think I saw a note that it was recording.
It's on YouTube.
Okay,
I had a notice live streamed, it said.
okay.
Thank you for checking though, Jennifer.
Yeah.
All right, so we do have a first and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, moving on to the consent agenda.
All of this, we went through in detail with the planning committee. It was approved at the planning committee level. That's typically how we go through things. We do a little bit more in-depth review, especially the financial stuff through the planning committee. Anyone from the planning committee, any comments? There was nothing really of note.
No, and just as a reminder, for some reason, if there's something on the consent agenda that would ever need to be pulled off, this is more general stuff, which is why we created it. But our group did not see anything.
Any questions from anybody else who reviewed any of the financials that they had questions about?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Mitch. Is there a second?
I'll second it. This is Phil.
Thank you. Is there any discussion with the consent agenda? All right, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, moving on to our executive report. John.
Yes, a couple new staff members. I'm gonna have Keely introduce them as they're both kind of in her department and tell us a little bit about them.
Hello everyone. So just as an update, we've had a couple new hires back in January. So Jenny Hastings is our new childcare aware referral specialist and admin assistant. So she's taking on some of the duties of our referral specialist that recently retired. The one that recently retired was not a full-time position, but wanted to make this a full-time position just to make it more desirable for applicants. So she is not only helping to maintain our statewide database for childcare aware and helping providers keep their profiles updated on that database, but she's also taking on some Medicaid administrative work along with just some general SEEC related admin work as well. And then Lindsay Johnson is our new startup coordinator. She's helping to cover Cass County and the eastern side of North Dakota for our startup work in childcare aware. So she is helping with new providers and programs looking to start childcare, and then also helping them through the licensing toolkit that's being provided through the state now. So she's been out shadowing some more of our veteran startup consultants over the past month here and is now going to be taking on her own cases. So both have been great additions and we're very happy to have them.
So can I interject?
Sure,
Patty?
Robin.
Yeah.
Keely, are you going to tell everybody where Lindsay worked prior to coming to SEEC?
Well, Lindsay came from the Boys and Girls Club, and so a great wealth of knowledge from the after-school environment. So she's also going to be a great asset to our work within the after-school network as well. So sorry, Robin.
We wish her well.
She came well recommended.
She did come well recommended. Yes.
Yeah, that's too bad, Robin. Our gain, your loss. It's never easy.
I consider it a compliment.
Yeah.
So are we fully staffed now, John? Do you have any other openings?
Just think in my head. No, not any direct openings right now.
mean, if we were to ever find a nurse on the western side of the state, we would definitely take them for childcare aware, because right now both of our health and safety specialists are here in Fargo, but that position's been posted since we got the contract back in 2021, and so it's kind of just sitting out there. But so that would be lovely. But yes, I would say we're pretty close to fully staffed.
Is that a full-time position, Keely, for a nurse?
So I would take part-time as well. And so, or just, or full-time if somebody were to be interested, but can be either or, Patty, if you know of anyone.
I actually know of a couple nurses in Bismarck that are getting to, may have to just ask them the question. Good to know.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, I'm glad to see we're kind of fully staffed. For a while, we had some holes. Do you want to just keep going, John?
Yeah, we'll keep going. Bergam Foundation funding. This is a new project that we have. I'm gonna have Carrie speak just for a minute or two on this one.
Yeah, interesting you ask about fully staffed, because as of today, right, and now I'm going to talk about some more staff. So we were funded to do a rural literacy coaching project. We're really excited to try instructional coaching, especially in the area of literacy in some of our rural schools. We were awarded enough funds that we're going to hire 2.5, maybe 3 different positions across 3, maybe 4 schools. So once we get the staffing figured out, and the travel expenses, we'll know what we have left to see if we can help that 4th school. We are going to mimic the structure that we have in North Dakota Reading and Math Corps, which has someone who's doing that coaching at the local level, so that these coaches will be hired to instructional literacy coaching in the actual teachers' classrooms who teach reading in our rural schools. And then our coaching specialists, who are also called coaching specialists in Reading Corps, will go out to visit those coaches in that environment once or twice a month, providing that additional layer of support. We'll also have a bit of a PLC for those coaches here in our office and some training for them. And we do want to make sure that any school knows that even if you weren't one of the 3 or 4 schools that will be awarded, if you have someone in a literacy or an instructional coaching role, we would invite them to learn about the tools that we're going to use for observations to provide that kind of really nuanced literacy feedback.
We went through a process.
Have you selected the schools already, Carrie?
We have.
Yeah.
We met last week and went through a process of trying to award points in a non-biased way, even though we have great relationships with all of our schools. And Kate helped us by taking apart the surveys 1 question at a time so that we could score those 1 question at a time rather than 1 survey at a time, to make the process sort of as blind as it could be and as fair as it could be. So the schools that have already been awarded are Mapleton for a halftime literacy coach due to the number of sections per grade level. And then both Kindred and Central Cass, since they have four sections per grade level, they need more of a full-time literacy coach in each of those 2. We also have Maple Valley in our back pocket if we have enough funding to be able to help them as well.
And that would be a halftime in Maple Valley,
Halftime.
of course, too. And then, like Carrie said, the other schools that had applied, we welcome them to be, if they decide to have their own instructional coach or reading coach, we welcome them into any of the training that we do, and also provide them access to the tools that we're providing available to them. So we're trying to open it up, but we only had funds for a certain number of staff.
This is a 2-year grant from the Bergam Foundation. So hopefully we can have a proof of concept that we know that this is sort of that last piece in our science of reading. We've got great training available, and our schools have participated in. Many schools have adopted new curricular resources so that the resources match their knowledge. And we know that the implementation support right there at the classroom level with like those kids that are in that class is sort of where we need to go next.
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
It is.
Any questions about the Bergam Foundation funding?
Will you come
Selection
back at
process.
some point and just share how it's going, since it's a 2-year? Because I think that
Definitely.
would be good for us just to hear how it's going as we move in, even after the first year.
That'd be great. Yep, I'd love to do that. Thanks, Patty.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we keep going. Next item, State Board of Education biannual audit approval. You can see LinkedIn was a presentation that I shared. It was January 26th. I was invited to the state board. We do this every other year. This was my first crack at it, obviously. Presentation went well. We had a lot of content crammed into a 15-minute opportunity, as you can see in the slides, but I managed to get through all of it. And we had a lot of good questions from the board. Many of the questions though were pointed at our carryover fund. It was good. I responded to it. I talked about the innovation grant funds that our board allocates, and then just overall said that, you know, our board approves our audit on an annual basis. Our board approves our budget on an annual basis, and that these are not district funds. I spoke to them about like this money wouldn't go back to school districts, things like that, that this is just our operational practices. And they were satisfied with the answers, but there was quite a few questions specifically at our overall carryover that they were curious about. And they came from one particular member of the board who is also a school board member at a local school in our SEEC area. So just, but overall they approved it. They made a motion to approve, unanimously approved, and thanked the opportunity to ask questions in the presentation. So they're very satisfied with the presentation. Any questions about that or the process that ensued?
So John, there wasn't any concerns, were there, on that carryover, or just the questions?
They did, you know, I think the particular school board member had questions in relation to our carryover, maybe based upon what they're seeing at their local school district. They asked about why are we able to carry over so much more, and I responded that REAs, and I included special education units, are not held to the carryover century code responsibilities that school districts are. So to answer that question, we don't have to carry over a certain level, or we're not limited in our carryover. I also spoke to the utilization of that funds to help us promote new activities and new growth opportunities within our member schools. It wasn't a concern, I would say, just more of a general question in kind of the why and what do we do with it. Yeah.
Mitch, I was in the room with John. I thought he did a good job. I mean, I think it was just there was a lot of questions, I guess, more than I would have expected, but I don't think any of the questions were bad questions. So he did a good job clarifying.
Justin was there to cheer me on. Want me to keep going, Patty?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. The next part, results, policies, operational plan. I'll Hunter pull this up so we can toggle through these slides a little bit. As he's getting this up, I'll set some context to this. These slides that I have linked in here that we'll talk about are in relation to our overall results policies. This is the presentation that we've been sharing with staff as we move through.
Share screen. That's yeah.
All right. Are you guys all able to see this presentation?
Click on it.
Yep.
Okay. Hunter will put it in presentation mode here.
Oh, all your favorite.
All right. They came right in. Staff who helped me develop PowerPoints like to have things come in one at a time. And I'm kind of a transition to a full slide, but I'm adapting. In any relation, these are our overall look at the results policies kind of encompassed into one sheet. This is really helpful for our staff, but also for us to continue to see how everything relates overall through our strategic plan. We've been encouraging staff to engage in these results policies and look at the work that they're doing throughout the year in relation to both our operational plan and the results policies, to just target the work that they're doing on a daily basis or within their own projects in connection to these results policies in our operational plan. Many have chosen to post these up on their computer or in their work area too, just as a consistent reminder. Go ahead and keep going, Hunter. This is results policy number 1, I call it. It links into 75% of PD participants responding will recognize an increase in knowledge, skill, and practice in the PD survey. If you're looking ahead a little bit on our agenda under the approval part, we have R1, R2, R3 as part of our results policies. We're going to be reviewing at this board meeting the results policies that are directly related to R2, but I'm going to go through all of our results policies because it's a mid-year update, and I'll kind of toggle through, and then I'll let you know when we're looking at the ones that are targeted to R2. So this one would be more about R1, high quality targeted supports. As you can see, 75% of participants will recognize an increase in growth in knowledge, skill, practice. We're meeting that target, doing really well. And this is a mid-year one. We would guess that this would continue at this rate. We'd have just more participants participating as we get through the end of the year. So you can see the end size is 677. We're usually over 1,000 on that. So you can see we're doing pretty well through the year, and we anticipate being on mark here. Keep going, Hunter. Oh, there you go. Get back right there. All right, thanks. You're good. This one kind of relates a little bit to R1 and R2, as this is just a slide that we inserted to demonstrate some of the customized PD. And I say it relates to R1 and R2 as it's providing high quality targeted supports, meaningful programs and services to our schools, but it also is about advancing relationships. Our customized PD options are when we engage with schools and they say, hey, what do you think? Could you help us with this? Or we're having this issue. Could you provide us some training or support in this area? And then our staff have been working, as you can see, some of the list of items that we've been targeting with our schools, coming up with some customized PD options. So this one, I think, relates to both R1 and R2. It's not directly referenced in as a results policy, but I think it adds some nice context to our advancing relationships and providing high quality targeted supports. Go on, Hunter. Thanks. This one is our student programs, which is our AmeriCorps reading math. This one was targeted more at R1, providing meaningful programs and services to enhance the education system. This one's really difficult to represent mid-year as it's really more targeted at an end of the year one, but to provide you some sample of where we're at mid-year, we're doing really well here in December, but these ones really don't come to fruition until the end of the year. And keep going. Thank you, Hunter. This is where we get into more targeted. The next couple will be targeted directly at our advancing relationships, the R2, which is what we are actually monitoring this board meeting. So when we get down to that next section on the board, this is some of the information that pertains to that specific policy we're monitoring. In R2, we have SEEC will develop and enhance stakeholder relationships to inform programming, funding, and policy decisions. What we are looking at here is our engagement points for collaborative partnerships and business services. Our target was 100% of schools participate in at least one collaborative partnership or business services. Our collaborative partnerships are Choice Ready Dashboard, ND Climbs, Full Service Community Schools, Title III Consortium, TSI, CSI, and then we have business services with Medicaid, billing, frontline, hiring, ND Fit. South Valley does business services through SEEC, or special ed case management are some of the business services that we have available. Overall, you can see nearly all of our schools participate. We have 4 districts who have 0 participation. Those 4 school districts are our 4 private schools. So all of our public schools are engaged in at least one collaborative partnership or business service. So, you know, we talked a little bit about this at our planning committee. The way we wrote this, 100% of SEEC schools. We've talked about maybe in the future we target more member schools or public schools, just really to more closely define this. As you know, we're doing really well in all of our member schools, I would say, as we defined in our planning committee, but also through our public schools. It doesn't mean we don't engage with those private schools. We do engage with them frequently. It's just some of these things, like it would be difficult, I think, for a private school to engage in Medicaid billing. You know, that would be a challenge for them.
Or they're not eligible.
And they might not be eligible.
They're not eligible.
Yeah, so there's certain areas that they're not targeted or part of. So you can keep going, Hunter. Stakeholder engagement, obviously a big part of R2 advancing relationships. This isn't specifically one of our results policies, but in relation to that, we are choosing to measure the number of engagement points that we have with our schools. And you can see 32 out of our 37 districts have 2 or more touch points. Touch points include principal meetings, superintendent meetings, district liaison visits, executive director visits. All of those are different touch points that we have with our schools. You can see again, the only ones that we're not engaged with touch points at this point in time is JP2 and St. John's Academy are the only 2 schools that don't have any touch points at this point in time. So doing really well in that area as well. Well, I think we're off on this one. Hold on a second.
May
Go
I
ahead.
ask a question, Patty?
Yeah.
What do you define as a touch point? Is it email or is it in-person
A
discussion?
touch point is actually an in-person engagement,
Okay.
or they attend one of our principal meetings or our superintendent meetings. So it's a face-to-face, in-person engagement. It's not just a phone call. It's more than that. It's one of our district liaisons coming out to the school and meeting with the principals and superintendents, or it's me going out to a school and meeting with the superintendents, or it's their attendance at a principal meeting or a superintendent meeting. I think we have the wrong presentation linked here, Hunter.
Thank you.
What else do you need, Jen?
I needed, we got a couple more slides.
They're.
Okay, that's okay. You can exit out of this now, Hunter, that's right. The next, ones of our results policies, I don't have them in slides. Number 6 is our governance, which is 100% of our policies monitored to our annual work plan. That's more of an R3, organizational development and operations. We're doing really well there. As you guys know, we monitor our policies. We're on track with our annual plan. The next result policy was long-range sustainability. Carrie illustrated one of those opportunities today with the Burgum Foundation, where we're getting a little bit of money from them to support some literacy coaching. So that is in relation to a little bit of our to advancing relationships, but really targeted at long-range sustainability. And then our policy number 8 is staff PD, where we're measuring the number of PD opportunities in the hopes that 100% of our staff participate in PD, definitely in R3 organizational development and operations there. So I wanted to review this overall slideshow with you guys to just show this is what we're doing 5 times a year with our staff to really continue to focus that engagement on our results policies and our operational plan. I'm not sure that level, we were just talking about this at our directors meeting. I'm not sure if that level of 5 staff meetings through the year engaging in this is what's going to be necessary every year. But we felt as we looked at last year through some of our context with our climate and culture survey that it was necessary to have some very targeted engagement to inform staff and really focus staff and teach staff what our strategic plan, operational plan, and results policies and how that correlates to the work that we're doing here at SEEC. And after our last staff meeting, we just had one end of January. Very well received. The feedback that we've been getting just anecdotally from staff was that was great. Like seeing that mid-year update, understanding how this is all working in connection. And then we also reviewed some of the climate and culture survey results at our staff meeting as well, with a plan of intention to address some of those areas that were indicated. I wouldn't even say as necessary areas of growth, because it's the first time we really instituted that survey. So we really don't know that, is that good or was it bad? Until we start to see that survey administered over a couple different times.
Baseline.
Yep. Yeah. Questions about the way the way I shared out these results policies?
No, I just wanted to make a comment. I'm kind of glad that you're doing it more often. You've had quite a few new staff, and it's hard to get everybody back on the same page when you have new people coming and going. So I think to start, that was probably smart.
Good. We can move into the annual work plan now, if you'd like, Patty.
Yeah, did anyone else have any questions on that? Otherwise, we can move into our monitoring. All right, so the first one was the R2, the advancing relationships.
Yeah, I spoke about that there. The one last piece that I'd add to that, I forgot to mention the results policy, is we do have as what we say is a district survey. We have a district survey. We're not 100% sure on the name of a district, it being called district survey, satisfaction survey. We came up with a name at our directors meeting this past week. But we're also looking at that survey And we might end up doing 2 surveys, one more of a community CCA partnership survey, and then a district survey. So it might actually transform into 2 surveys, just targeted at different groups of stakeholders that we engage with.
Okay.
Anything else you'd like to hear about advancing relationships specifically?
I appreciate the in-person touch points, as you pointed out for me, that then you see everybody rather than just assuming they know our message. All right, any discussion? Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion for R2 advancing relationships.
So moved.
Thank you, Mike.
Second, Robin.
Thank you, Robin. Is there any discussion? All right, all those in favor of finding R2 advancing relationship is in compliance, say aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, the next one was the EDE 6 communication with the board.
Yes, there's an evidence form linked in there. I'm gonna highlight just a couple pieces, not gonna want to read this whole thing to you, but the first several there, 1 through 4, are pretty standard pieces, just showing that we have those in place. We presented the operational plan at our retreat. They're posted on our website. The planning committee meetings happen as scheduled, and then we post those meeting minutes as well on our website. We presented our overall annual plan and results policies to the superintendents at our September SEEC superintendent meeting, which was an in-person meeting. So those were shared out with our counterparts at that level. And then we haven't had any significant money transfers within funds. And we approve our board on an annual basis, review that with our planning committee on a quarterly basis and more in depth. And we did make some of those changes in the November board meeting as when we looked at the budget, there were some revenues and expenditures that had some levels of change. So we made that change in November. Number 5 there, assure that the board has adequate information from various internal agency and external stakeholder viewpoints. And you guys can kind of read through where we're at on that. A couple of things that I'll highlight is our communication. And, Robin asked a little bit about it. We communicate to our school districts on a continuous basis via phone, email, all of those newsletters, all of that stuff. But specifically, each one of our public schools has a 2 times a year executive director visit and 2 times a year school district liaison visit. We've been refining our school district liaison process through PDPLC that meets monthly on Fridays. So we get together with all of our school district liaisons here at the SEEC office, and we talk about what questions we are asking and what have we learned in our visits. So then that helps target some of our customized PD, helps target some of our planning and programming here as well. We also started, if you remember last year, we started a superintendent survey. It's a real simple one. It's basically one question: you doing good? You have a question or a concern? Feedback on that through this year. In October, administered it, 24 response out of 33 superintendents with 24 response, good. Did again in January, 17th response, again, good. So our superintendents are feeling connected. We have had 2 superintendent meetings so far this year. We'll be looking at our 4th with 3. We did a November one, a September one, and then we just did a January one, and we'll have one in March as well, or April. Is it April or May?
March.
Yeah, thanks. May. Got off track on which one we were at there. And we also have our PAC meetings throughout the year. We're in the process of our regional PAC meetings. So yesterday we had staff in Jamestown to meet with principals in Jamestown in the morning, and then they hopped in their car and drove back here to Fargo to meet with more principals here in Fargo. And then we're scheduled February 24th, I believe it is, down in Wyndmere. So we tried to take that PAC meeting out on the road a little bit. We typically do those in-person ones in Valley City, and then the in-between ones are virtual. But specifically this one, we decided let's get out regionally and see if that distance is being a barrier to getting more and more connected PAC, our principals. So been well received there too. We have as mentioned, we have the school district satisfaction survey that is in development. We'll send that out to principals and superintendents in April. Moving into 6, we have no significant media attention that has occurred, thankfully. That's always good, I guess. All board member materials are distributed equally to all board members and publicly on our website. And then we inform the board of any anticipated non-compliance. We haven't had any of that either. And then we communicate consideration of new and existing programs or partnerships with the planning committee, executive committee. And we've done that continuously throughout this year as well. So I would register all of these in compliance from an executive director opinion.
John, can I ask him which school board members receive the SEEC updates or newsletters? Is it just the board presidents? I mean, I always get them, so then I'm curious because sometimes the other board members kind of look at you like they don't know. I'm wondering if we could, maybe they should go to all of them, but maybe they are and I just don't know it.
I don't know
It used to be all, but I don't know if it still is. We'll have to look at that.
Yeah.
See what our listserv is.
Good question. We'll look into that.
Don't you agree, Robin? I'm kind of thinking that, I mean, then they can't say they don't know anything if they choose not to read the emails, but I think it's good update, especially for our smaller school districts to know where their money is going, that they have direct, the latest information.
Yeah, I do. And it's kind of you can't make them read it. We all know that they need to consume it, but at least you can reference it and say,
Yep.
Yes, we are very transparent. So I consider it a CYA.
Yeah. Well, and we're not in the day to day. And I kind of think even with DPI, when I see their newsletters, sometimes something comes out and it's like, I didn't know that. Should I know that? Or at least ask the question for our district if we are participating. And I think SEEC is kind of the same thing. Sometimes you just don't know. And then you can ask some of those questions if they're not getting updates, regular updates from whoever represents it. So.
Yep. And I would say your school board members are the ones that are out legislating in Bismarck. And the more they know about SEEC, the more you can retain some of the funding streams.
Mm-hmm. And share who we are instead of misinformation. But yes.
Never happens.
Yeah. All right. Is there any other questions? Otherwise, I'm going to entertain a motion for EDE 6, communication with the board.
So moved, Mitch.
Thank you, Mitch.
I'll second it. Phil.
Thank you. Thank you, Phil. Is there any discussion? I know I appreciate you putting that all together, John. I think it's very easy to read, to the point, answer the questions. So thank you for that. Is there any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of finding EDE 6 communicating with the board is in compliance, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, the next one is the GP2 Governing Board Roles and Responsibility. This is just an annual review of our policy. And looking at this just to see if there's anything that we want to make changes to, or if we're okay leaving it for another year.
I wouldn't recommend any changes. It looks good to me from our perspective.
So then we'll just, if we don't want any changes, we're just going to approve the policy for another year.
I move that we approve GP2 Governing Board Roles and Responsibilities.
Thank you, Robin.
I'll second it, Patty.
Thank you, Justin. Is there any discussion? I think it's good just as a reminder when we look at these policies, they're relatively new. Sometimes we find changes, sometimes not. But if we don't do it annually, it's a good time. And we can make changes anytime, but it's just a good reminder. So, all right, all those in favor of approving, say aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, moving on to GP3 board culture. And again, this is just an annual review. of this policy?
The only notation I'd make here is just two things, and it's not necessarily related to the officers of the board, but just for context information. Andy is due for renewal of his nomination to the board, as is Phil and Mitch, and Justin and Heidi as well. Their board terms are done June 26 here, so this year in June. Mitch is definitely 2, if not more than that. Justin's been lead administrator 2 times, I think, if not more than that. And Heidi, I believe, has been on the board at least 2 terms, if not more.
Yes.
But Andy and Phil, both in their first term, but they would need to re-up their nomination, I guess, to the board by June 2026, just as a notation. And then Heidi brought a question on number 9 in our planning committee about the consent agenda. And it references an item may be removed from the consent agenda upon the concurrence of a majority of the board members present and voting. I think that was the part she was questioning, wasn't it, Patty?
Yeah.
In our planning committee. And we felt like the policy in the planning committee, we felt like the policy was okay as it was written, just as an understanding that we could remove items based upon requests from somebody within the board.
May I ask her concern? That this seems like a standard one to me. Are we missing something?
I wondered if we've never done it, if that was okay with the board, if they wanted the majority, or if one person could pull an item off. But I don't think there was a concern that some may look at it, that anyone should be able to pull an item off. You shouldn't have to have a majority, but we've never had any problems with it. So I thought until we have an issue, and I guess if one person was really adamant about pulling something off, I think the rest of the board would probably do it anyway. So, and I would hope the planning committee would catch those before they got to the meeting, that if there was something that was really wonky, that whoever's on the planning committee would say, wait a minute, I don't think that should be on the consent agenda anyway. That's kind of our responsibility to sort of catch those beforehand.
Yeah, and Heidi didn't have a concern. She was just asking the question of process. You know, could a board member say, Robin, if you had something in the consent agenda that you were concerned about, what would be your process to be able to say, can I take this out of consent agenda and put it on the main agenda? And her question was, is it requires the agreement of the full board to move it out of consent agenda. And Patty's response, I think, was just what she shared, and I agree. Generally speaking, I don't know that the board would typically argue that an item shouldn't be moved to the regular agenda if a board member requested such. So
can I provide a little bit more insight? So really, if the member individual, anybody can ask to have it removed, and then the board chair would look for approval of the amended agenda to move down consent agenda item 2 to the business section. And that's how the whole board would do that before they approve the agenda. That's how I interpret this.
Yep. I would agree, Robin. It was just brought up as a question in the planning committee, so I thought I'd illustrate it here in the board. So just so everybody is understanding that it was brought up.
Thank you.
So I think we're okay leaving it as is was my thought, but.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. So we just need approval of that to continue forward with this policy as written.
I move approval of the GP3 board culture policy.
Thank you, Robin.
Second.
Thank you, Mitch. I just want to thank you as board chair that I love working with all of you guys, that our meetings are so easy that we don't have to worry about board culture. And so often when we hear across the state, some of them that don't function that way. So thank you for all, without having this policy, that I know that you're going to do that anyway. So, all right. All those in favor of approving the GP3 board culture, say aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The last one then is the BED 4 authority of the executive director policy.
Again, nothing to add here. These are things that we have built into our overall annual plan, and we're on process to meet all the markers in our annual plan. So again, I feel like these are being met.
And again, it's just how we expect him, our director, to do business. Does anyone
Yeah.
see anything here that, I thought they were all pretty straightforward still? If there's any questions, otherwise I'd entertain a motion for the ED for authority of the executive director.
So
So
moved,
moved.
Robin.
Thank you, Robin.
Second, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. All right, is there any other discussion with that one? All right, all those in favor of approving, say aye.
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 Those
Aye.
opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right, and our last one is an executive director evaluation. And we do not currently have a process, so I think we're going to talk about that so we can get John's evaluation done for the year, which we all know is really important. So
We have a performance review form. We do have that, and I think that that's linked there. But we need, last year we had 2 nominees from the board that met with me to go through the evaluation process. So I think that's part of what we're looking for, is a couple of people to be willing to engage with me for my evaluation.
refresh my memory. Justin, were you part of that last year?
It's Corey and
Corey.
Heidi.
Okay. And did we ask questions of the individual members before they went to the evaluation? That were individually and then, or is it completely separate? Because we've kind of done it more than one way. Do you remember, John? I don't know that we answered questions last year.
We didn't from the board. It was just left to Heidi and Corey, and then I met specifically with them. They maybe had solicited feedback from you guys via email in between, but then we discussed overall the evaluation components that were listed in here.
Yeah. And I know that the policies that we have throughout the year make this process a little easier because we've talked about a lot of the items. So the question will be, do we want to do that same procedure this year for the evaluation? So if we're looking for feedback. And if we do, then 2 volunteers who would like to do the evaluation with John.
I don't have any feedback, but I'm happy to sit on that committee if you need me to.
Okay. Is everyone okay with doing that process again?
Yeah, I think so.
I'll need some prompts.
Is there anyone else who would like to sit on that with John? It would be nice if we had have one of our administrators, as long as we have a board member. You have a different perspective than we do from the school board side.
Patty, I can do that if you need somebody, I guess.
Okay, well, that would be great. So Justin and Robin, thank you both. Appreciate that. So we all know it's super important that we maintain, one, let our director know that they're doing a good job or not, and that we continue to move forward. So they will follow. Justin, do you want to go ahead and make a plan then with Robin, the 3 of you with John, and we'll figure out from there? Okay.
Figure it out.
That would be fantastic. All right. Do we have anything else for the good of the cause today? 45 minutes. That's pretty good.
Nice
All right.
work, everyone.
Well, thanks everybody. Happy Valentine's Day this week. And then hopefully next time we see you, it'll be much warmer, and enjoy the rest of the school year.
Okay.
Thanks for all you
Thanks,
do.
everyone.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure, and bye.
Thank you.
All over really well.